Monday night. Happy Monday night. I thought I would hang out with everybody since I will not be with you on Thursday. Thanksgiving, turkey. It's going to be Turkey Day. We're going to be with those we love, hopefully. Maybe we will talk about how to keep ourselves, excuse me, from going crazy. We'll do some blitzes and we will talk about upcoming events, what to expect maybe for the Thanksgiving holiday. We might go ahead and do some blitzes about that. So, yeah, I thought, I was missing you guys. And yeah, so I thought I would come on since tomorrow we are going to have a Taco Tuesday, but I think Taco Tuesday might be at noon. I'm going to have to check with that. It depends on when my train leaves because I'm taking a train to Seattle to see a friend of mine. So be sure and tell me what you guys are going to be doing for the excuse me, for the holidays. And yeah. Hi, Bernadette. Hi, Amanda Carroll. Hi, Teresa. Where are you guys hailing from? Are you getting ready for the holidays? Are you excited? Where are you going to be? Any Trump supporters? How bad does it have to be? Yes, yes. How bad does it have to be? Well, it's interesting. People are putting up interesting memes and different statements about how they feel about the election. I don't know if you've seen all of these, but some of them are pretty funny. Or not, depending, I guess. Well, that's depressing. Yes. So let me check my Amtrak. Yeah. So what time does my Amtrak leave? Was it 2:30? 2:10. Okay. That should work out just fine. Hi, Kay. Oh, you're in Seattle, Amanda? Yeah, I'm being told to bring my passport. It sounds rather ominous. Come to Seattle and bring your passport. Okay. We're not going to announce anything, but bring your passport. Yeah, so she wanted to go take the ferry to Vancouver or Victoria or something. I don't know. Spend a night there. It arrives at a certain time and then leaves 4 hours later. So you can spend one night in Victoria. Yeah, it's fun times. Like I said, I'm a Seattle kid, so that's our normal. It was interesting. We're all having these meltdowns thinking about, I got to leave, I got to leave, I got to leave. How much do you need in order to leave? If you want a permanent residence, yes, you do need a lot of money from Mexico. But if it's just a temporary visa and then you leave and come back, it's a little bit easier. Like you can get 6-month visas, all kinds of visas. But Yeah. So it's a lot to upend your life. I think a more practical thing that people are going to start doing is just spending part of their time outside the US to decompress more than necessarily completely uprooting their life. It's more like, I got to get to Panama for 6 months. Can I rent through a cheap um, Verbo or Craigslist? Can I find a place to stay for a couple $100s a month, a studio in Panama City, and just get out of here? I got to because you may find you can't afford to uproot yourself, but you can afford to spend a month in the Philippines. So maybe that's the better solution rather than completely uprooting yourself. Give yourself the option of spending some time outside the US in places that are not expensive. And that's also a great way to get your feet wet. I mean, say you go to the Philippines for a month, you can live on $800 a month there. So you take buses around the different villages, you meet the different retirement communities, and then you come home, and then you think, I can do this or I can't do this. Then you could try Slovenia, Albania. Yeah. Farewell speech from Joe Biden. Well, how do you guys feel about the fact that Donald Trump, all charges have been dropped against Donald Trump in the federal charges, all federal charges from the indictments. So that's Judge Chutkan out of D.C. for January 6th, and the investigator was Jack Smith. That case has been dropped. With an opportunity maybe to reopen after he finishes. If it's a joke. This is a joke. The DC the DC case on stolen documents in Florida, that case has been dropped. That case has also been dropped. Sentencing has been delayed on the state charges over Stormy Daniel, which is a way of influencing an election. So that blows my mind. So he also got delays on his state charges. State charges delayed. And those state charges were for the Stormy Daniel hush money, and also state charges out of Georgia for intimidating people and attempting to change the outcome of an election in Georgia. So that case has also been postponed, possibly indefinitely. So the takeaway from all of that is that there are people in positions of power that we cannot even begin to fathom that like this man. There are people in positions of power that can use this man and are willing to do anything and everything to help this man. So this man is bigger than the law. The law does not apply. I think that's very obvious. The law doesn't apply to Donald Trump. Yeah. So the first hit I wanted to talk about regarding Donald Trump, and it's a delicate subject, but I just want to go on record saying it because I believe it will come out, is that When I go into his energy, I feel inflammation. And you don't have to be a rocket scientist to see that he's at high risk for heart disease and diabetes. And that's because he eats garbage, right? But lately, I've been feeling a different energy. So, yes, I think he has heart disease. Yes, I think he has pre-diabetes, possibly diabetes. He's overweight. He's a senior. I mean, how much more can his pancreas take? Come on, people. But that is not what my intuition and gut is picking up on right now. My gut is now picking on this phenomenon of his makeup. Has everybody noticed that Trump's makeup is a little strange? We've talked about the fact that he has mental health and cognitive decline, as mentioned by the American Psychiatric Institutes, the Academy, etc. Duty to warn, right? So his mental health is also a factor. If he had had a thorough psychiatric examination, it would have prevented him from entering the White House because of his declining mental health problems. But the other thing that started to happen is we've started to see strange makeup, this phenomenon of strange makeup. So Donald Trump at the SpaceX launch looked sick, right? So he looked sick, or he looked like something was off. And this is what I want to show people. This is the thing I'm picking up on lately, is this phenomenon of how he's been looking lately. So this was covered by other people, but I want you to see the physical. So it's this makeup. You see the makeup is even covering his lips. So either he's been forced to do his own makeup because they fired his makeup person because he's broke, which is one possibility, or what's going on here? Why does he have full pancake makeup in broad daylight on you can see Elon doesn't have any makeup on. He didn't care. Because I think he's covering something up. I think he's covering something up.
But Trump looked really ill during his visit to Texas with Elon Musk, and many people noticing, even though he's still obese and his body is huge, his face looks gaunt, and something about what he's now doing to his skin.
Yeah, so this phenomenon happens with my patients. I can only tell you as a physician, when I'm dealing with seniors and I start to notice this pancake, in Hollywood, I see this a lot. This is what I notice in my actors who have cancer. When my clients have cancer, they start to do this. They start to because they look pale and sickly, particularly if they're undergoing chemotherapy treatments. This is the kind of effect you get with some types of leukemia, some adult leukemias. But that look, my first thought was, wow, I see that in my adult leukemia patients and my myeloma patients. They start to feel really sickly and drained. They start to have anemia, right? Those of you who are nurses and doctors, they start to have anemia. They have to have IV transfusion. They have to have blood and immunoglobulin therapies sometime, depending upon immunotherapies, depending upon the type of cancer. And they start to look like that. They look sickly because it's almost like they're constantly fighting an infection, that dragged look. And then they resort to extra makeup in order to cover up the fact that they're sick. So it was interesting. I don't know what's wrong with him, but I just thought I would share that. And I don't feel the slightest bit of a moral problem sharing it because he's a public figure. He's our future president, and we have the right. In his case, we have a right to know everything, right? You're going to be our future president, and we have demanded to see your medical records and your finances. These are our rights as your employers, right? Um, so for that reason, I thought about it today, and I thought, you know what? I think I'm right. I think there's something going on there, so I'm going to go ahead and tell the community and let's see how it plays itself out. And that would explain to me why he's maybe not as enthusiastic as you would think he would be about winning the election, because he doesn't seem to be particularly happy about it. He doesn't seem to be happy about it. He doesn't seem to be invested in it. He got what he needed, which is to have all the charges dropped. Now he can go play golf and he can let the people who he hired run the country and take care of himself, because he clearly doesn't look like he's doing too well. I think he's really sick, and I'd want to see his blood work because, uh, yeah, I'd like to see a CBC because I just got a feeling. Yeah, he doesn't care. It's like, okay, I won the election. Can I go back to play golf? His wife is they're clearly separated. It's interesting. I did a remote view on Melania Trump, and I did an interview with her as a remote viewer. And I asked her if she could talk to me about why she chose not to go back to the White House. And she said that dogs could not drag her back to the White House. You couldn't drag her back to that. You're not going to be able to drag me back to that. So if you ask Melania Trump, could you please elaborate why you say that in the remote, that you can't drag me back there? Because that's a pretty dramatic thing to say about DC, that it was such a toxic, abusive environment for Melania Trump that she would literally have to be forced against her will by rabid dogs would have to. So she felt no love from DC. She didn't feel any support. She felt hated. She worked her ass off. She feels that when you go into this energy, she talks a lot about taking care of herself. I need to take care of Melania. I need to take care of my needs. I need to take care of me for a change. I've been taking care of my son. I've been taking care of Donald. I've been, the responsibilities of being First Lady. So it's a lot on my plate, and I want me time. I want to take care of me right now. So this is what I would say to the public if I were being interviewed as Melania Trump. It's me time. I have earned some me time. And that it's not good for her mental health to be in a hostile environment where people are attacking her all the time and attacking her choices. And she thought it was an extremely belligerent, hostile environment. She doesn't want to go back into it. That is the main thing she said in the remote. And if you're asking how much can I pay you to get you back into the White House, her response is, you can't. There's not any amount of money you can pay me that's going to get me back into there. So that also tells me, because we think of her as somebody who's very financially savvy, but this is somebody that even Melania Trump, there's not enough money that will get her to move, that you could pay her to get her to go back into that situation. That is how much she does not want to be there. I mean, think about that. Yeah, so people often ask how to get past the visa requirements, and because I did slow traveling for most of my adult life, I can just tell you, you don't need major visas for many parts of the world. You can just do slow travel, which is that you enter a country, they'll give you 3 to 6 months if you're retired, and then there are affordable places to find a rent, whether it's the Philippines or Panama or someplace like that. And then you just go to the consulate or wherever, and you can wait in line and renew tourist visa every 3 to 6 months if you can show proof that you have like $800 a month for Philippines or 1,000 a month for Mexico. And then you just go in and renew every 3 months or 6 months. You're not working, you're just hanging out in Mexico. If you want permanent residence, it gets to be more complicated, but most people can't be bothered unless they want to invest in buying real estate. So if you're somebody like me who slow travels, like I lived in Germany for a few years, I lived in Britain for a year, I lived in Israel for 6 years, I lived in New York City for 3 years, upstate New York for about 6 months. I move around the world slowly. Then what I liked is I liked the short visas. I'd come in to Germany for 3 months, get a visa for another 3 months. Then I would leave and maybe go stay in Paris for a month and then come back. So you just move. And then if you want to have a good place that's a permanent placement, you go somewhere where you can get if you're looking for some place where it's going to be easy to land with very little money, someplace like Panama might be nice, Costa Rica might be nice, Mexico, if you don't mind having to renew every 3 months. If you want to stay where you're at, you just have to go back to you can do it online too. I think it's like $8 or something to renew, $8, $9. If you're in best places so far that I found in Europe is Albania and Slovenia are both getting good reviews for cheapest European homes. You could base yourself there for $300 a month. And then even if you're on $800 a month and you've got visa to stay in Slovenia for say 6 months, and then you renew every 6 months and just have that be your permanent base. And then you save money because it doesn't cost you money to live there. And then you can take that saved money and then maybe go spend a couple months in south of France or something like that. And I always tell people get a part-time job of some type that's under the table, whether it's doing card reading or babysitting or something like that. So the Rose Garden. The Rose Garden was an example of her getting attacked about something that wasn't true. That, first it sleeps, then it leaps. That's how a garden works. And they had to go in and it was a lot of work. And the Rose Garden turned out very beautiful. They did a great job. But that's exactly what she was talking about. She was being attacked for things that weren't real, like the fact that they had to pull everything out, get all the old wiring from the 1930s and 40s rewired, go back in. And the first year it was going to sleep because it's a new garden. And then the following years when it really, and the third and fourth years when you really start to see the beauty of the garden. So she wasn't the one that designed it. She was just the person that had to work with the designer. But the garden turned out beautiful. In fact, it's much better than the previous one because now they have open space, so it has a more zen look to it. She actually did a great job. But that's an example of like attacking her for things that are just not real. Well, you chopped the garden up. No, they started all over again. And the first year, the garden sleeps and then it leaps. And even the designer said that you're not going to see a lot the first year. Give it time, but the following year it's going to be beautiful, and the third and fourth year will become even more beautiful as it settles in. But they don't want to give her grace because of who she is. So, having an opportunity to be a remote viewer and put myself in her shoes is something I appreciate because it also helped me realize that she would rather not be there and have less money. That's how badly she does not want to be in the White House. So that's insightful to me as a remote viewer. Okay. I kind of feel bad for her, even though I think that she's part of a corrupt family. It's like I don't really like bullying. I don't like that, to bully somebody out of the White House and you can't get me back there. I mean, I don't know. I just I don't like this kind of energy. You know what I mean? All right. If you would like to receive a healing at this time, you can go ahead and give us your names or those you love, and we'll include you for a healing. We're going to go ahead and do the empath prayer. Daniel asked about Switzerland. I absolutely love Switzerland. I've been there a couple times. It is expensive, and but you might be able to get a nomad visa, or and again, it's not where I would situate myself. If you're trying to save money and you're on a fixed income, look to places like Albania, Slovenia, Prague, some parts of the Slavic countries, uh, remote areas of Spain and Portugal still have some affordable areas. That's if you want to be in Europe. Switzerland is expensive. It's for the rich people. Switzerland's a little boring. To be honest with you guys, of all the places I've been, one of my favorites is Israel. It's one big giant kibbutz. Anybody here flown El Al? People get up and stretch, and then you go in the back, and everyone's just hanging out. It's like a bunch of uncles and cousins, and they're all like eating snacks, and it's just the big kibbutz in the sky. And there's something I really love about Israel. So I was thinking, of all the places to go to where I feel the most at home, where I feel like, even though they drive me nuts, it's Israel. It's expensive, but I can afford it. It's the same rent as Portland, Oregon, so it would be exactly the same. And I'm a citizen, so I can do what I like because I'm a citizen. No, just kidding. Let's do the empath prayer. Let's pray for everyone. Okay. I want to call on white light protection for myself and this community as for a healing for you and those you love. May you receive a perfect healing in mind, body, and spirit. And may your prayers be answered. And together, collectively, as a community, we say, Amen. Am I frozen? Yep. Did I freeze? Am I back? All right. Sorry about that. All right. Do you think everything is set in stone for the next 4 years? It's interesting. I think so, yeah, because all the charges against Trump have been dropped. And so he's basically free. He's a free man. And the door is open wide for him to come in and be the president how he sees fit. But what I feel when I go into his energy is I feel not so good. I don't feel good. I feel weak and tired, almost like a leukemia patient. I feel weak. I feel like I'm weak and I'm tired and I'm exhausted and I'm trying to cover up my illness. and I feel it feels like a possible illness in the blood, and it feels like that illness is having an impact on how I look, and I might be under some type of treatment for this illness. It feels like it's an illness, possibly a cancer that is inside my blood, and that I'm trying to put on a nice face as a senior with cancer. And you can see the makeup is also covering his lips, which gives him a pale effect. He's sick.
I don't even know how to describe it. I don't know if it's simply a spray tan or what it is. Just a very ill looking Trump, almost looking bruised, although that might just be the spray tan gone wrong. His lips are white. His neck looks gaunt. People noticing folds, very strange folds, symmetrical on various parts of his ears and different.
That can be something we see. That's actually something that scientists, I forget who did the study. I think it might have been the Lancet, that folds in the ears are a sign of coronary artery disease. And there was actually a report out of the Lancet, which is interesting because in Chinese medical theory, they talk about the line in the ear being a sign of coronary artery disease. And here they're talking about the strange lines in his ears, and coronary artery disease would be how we would think of it. So let me see if I can find a study on that for you guys. Because one of the things that we do as, doctors is, see, this is not just me being psychic. I'm also a physician. So these are just things that I notice as a doctor that have me concerned. But these earlobe creases, sometimes it can be genetic. But when we're seeing a bilateral, this is the AHA's report, we're seeing a correlation between that and coronary artery disease. And so when you have the future president of the United States coming out and presenting with some of these physical characteristics, then people with a medical background tend to get concerned. So it would be an example of a physical characteristic we might see in somebody with advanced coronary artery disease. And then he's also displaying some of the symptoms that I see in patients who have various different types of blood cancers, like adult leukemias and myelomas, where they will start to get that a saggy look in the face, thinning, a loss of muscle mass, and then they will attempt to cover it up with makeup, which doesn't always work out. And the reason they do that is because anemia, which is one of the symptoms of some of these cancers, can result in certain types of anemia, like myelomas, and then the person winds up weak and tired because they don't have their blood cells are not functioning properly, and so it causes fatigue and that flat effect, or that saggy effect that you're seeing. Any questions about that? Well, you also have to ask yourself, how long are you going to be living on McDonald's? And yeah, that's not Botox, because the purpose of Botox is to get rid of the lines. And what Botox does is it blocks acetylcholine. So it blocks the ability of your muscles to contract. And so that is why it causes a flat effect. Right. And fillers will actually make it look like that, because you filled in the gaps with fat or something else. See, this is why I'm going to Thailand in January. Yeah, Malaysia. I'm going to go and get this thing taken care of. There you go, Whimsy. Is this what love is turning into? Well, that's the question also, is if he is this sick, then what do? Fine, we'll get you off on everything. We know you're going to drop dead any day now. So sure, we'll give you everything. We're dealing with a Vance presidency. All right. Thank you, Phase 1 pre-audit. Anybody want to blitz away on anything? We could. Sorry about the cough. I gotta stop. I've been vaping. I need to stop. It makes me cough. I do enjoy it. Micro needling. No, micro needling creates collagen. It stimulates collagen production. Okay, so let's look at net. Let's just look at Trump's overall health and see if we can get any information about Trump's health. Thanks for the donations. Those are going for taxes. Yes, tax season. What's going on with Trump's health? Not congestive heart failure. Congestive heart failure happens after a heart attack if the heart dies, or if a person has a virus which causes death to the cardiac wall, an endocarditis or something like that, then you might have post-coronary artery disease, something that, that's actually if you have congestive heart failure. Coronary artery disease is when the arteries are starting to become blocked. But what happens when the heart dies, when it doesn't get oxygen, is that it doesn't pump as effectively, which can lead to congestion. He has very good stars, Donald Trump, for the presidency. That's what they're saying. His stars, even if we don't entirely understand it, he is chosen somehow. I mean, he did dodge a bullet. He did get elected, but you can see he's got the star over him. I think I'm reacting actually to the candle. And Three of Pentacles is the contract. I assume that's the contract for the presidency. So it's a go. Waltzing in. There's his appointment. His crossing card. 10 of Cups. Welcome back, Chief. Looks good. What is above him? A health concern. Archangel Raphael is hovering about. Why would Archangel Raphael be hovering about? She hovers about when there's a threat to somebody's health. Then you will see her come. A serious health crisis is over him. She brings the medicine. He, they. It's kind of an, Raphael is transgender. He has increasing cognitive decline, according to these cards, with the Seven of Cups, which would be confusion and mental part of his health issues. Raphael is here regarding Seven of Cups, mental confusion in his third house, deep-seated mental confusion. You like this setup? Because you guys requested to see the cards. It's better, yeah? I try to make you happy. I'm a good girlfriend. All right. And past placement is Ace of Cups. And Ace of Cups would be the wedding cup or I choose you. And I'm assuming again that's because he excuse me, he won the he won the presidency. He feels increasingly cornered, as if he almost doesn't want this job. He doesn't want this job. My God, look what's looming. 9 of Wands. Get me out of here. He did this maybe to avoid prison, but he certainly doesn't want it. I mean, this is a guy who's basically saying here that the White House, first off, his wife doesn't even want to be there. He had to go. You had to go, Donald. I don't have to go. I'm not the one avoiding. We shall see, right? Criminal record. It is not me. It is you who has criminal record, Donnie. So, with a 9 of Wands moving into his 6th house, I would say that this is somebody who does not want to be the president. You don't want to be there. Sixth house, confidence. He got his confidence back. This kind of vindicated him to some extent. This validated him. Everybody who picked on little Donnie, who made fun of him and attacked him for 4 years. But now I got my confidence back. I'm in the 9 of Pentacles. So he's feeling financially better and he's feeling more confident. His opposition, who is his opposition? The King of Swords, that's Putin. So he and Putin are not getting along right now. And I think the reason why is because Trump is increasingly weak. I think he's having some health challenges and he's acquiescing more and more to his transition team. And if they say you've got to be hard line with Ukraine, okay, I'll be hard line with Ukraine. So the person who is standing as his opposition is actually a man who is possibly an air sign male. I believe that would be Putin. And it's also somebody who's in war mode, which would be the King of Swords. It's also the police. But I think this might be Putin. And then his hope and fear, it's not the police. He has no charges against him anymore. His hopes and fears, his own sobriety. He can't take care of himself. This is a man who needs a wife. The great irony is that he can't dress himself. Some men really need to be taken care of. The great irony is the men that need wives the most are usually the guys that treat women terribly. Elon Musk is another person who really can't take care of himself. Half the time he doesn't even take a shower, right? He just crawls off the couch and goes to Tesla, right? It's like, brush your hair, right? So neither of these people, if you look at this kind of energy, this is somebody who's not really capable, doesn't really know how to take care of himself properly. He's somebody who would benefit from having a valet or somebody there to take care of him. Sobriety would indicate that he can't say no, that he may have an addictive personality, whether it's gambling or women or alcohol or drugs, whether prescription or street, or not being able to say no to a cheeseburger. But he feels that some of his health challenges are related to his temperance and his tolerance. He does have an angry temper and he does seek revenge. And so he may on some level be aware that his need for revenge is something, his temper is something he needs to gain control over. And then the final outcome for Trump, he ascends to the presidency, which is the emperor, which is the card, which is associated with the presidency. So he will take the oath January 20th. In the coming weeks, I don't want to. This is somebody who is ambivalent about winning the presidency. He does not totally want to be there, and neither does his family. Okay, we won again. We don't want to be in politics anymore. It's too hard, and people are mean to us. It has that kind of feel. They're not enthusiastic about being there. And then Putin is increasingly confused, and he's confused about the fact that he cannot reach his. Did I lose you? No, I didn't. Putin is confused because, according to these cards, he can't get anybody to talk to him. So this is a feeling when you go into it. The opposition Putin with the moon card would indicate that his behavior is such that Putin does not entirely understand what Trump is doing. Trump is up to something, and whatever he's up to is confusing. I think that Trump is not communicating with Putin. That is how Putin is not getting his calls answered. So that feels to me as Putin that Putin is becoming increasingly angry and frustrated and like, what the hell's going on? Why aren't you getting back to me? Well, it's as if he has lost Trump and it leaves him bewildered and confused. This is the best way that I could describe my feelings when I look at these cards. This confusion. Doesn't surprise me that he's showing naked pictures of Melania on Russian TV because he may be confused about being dissed. Why didn't you call me? You should have called me first. It's why are you being so distant? It's like Trump is sick, he's tired, I can't make a lot of phone calls, I'm going back to bed. Or that's basically how it feels to be Trump. Okay, yeah, I got back to you. What? I just am not into it. I'm tired. I don't feel good. I don't want to be here. And Putin's response, why didn't you get back to me? Why didn't you get back to me? Why aren't you returning my calls? You should be kissing my feet. I gave you this presidency. Frick off. I don't care what you think. Leave me alone. I don't feel good. I'm going back to bed. That's how it feels in this exchange. And then the hope and the fear over the issues of addiction, Ace of Swords. He wants to conquer his addictions or the things he struggles with. There's a tower coming right over him. I fear that everything would fall apart for him in the next few weeks. I worry about this guy's health. You know, if I were just hired to do a remote view on this guy based on just me looking at data and me looking at the cards and just my gut instincts as a tarot reader and looking at his pictures just as somebody who's also a doctor, and I look for certain things and I can see certain things like the crease in the ear, that why are you covering things up, the fact that I'm like, this patient is really sick. That would be my feelings as a physician. I want to get some blood work on this patient. So and then we see this tower moving in. And I think that this tower, I would interpret, could be, in fact, something related to a possible illness or health crisis. And I say that because if you are to really take a look at these cards, you'll see that the main issue here in the fourth house is, in fact, Archangel Raphael, which is health, a concern about the health. And we say that because the messenger, the Page of Cups, is associated with Archangel Raphael and the element water, and it's also associated with receiving a medical treatment or a healing. And so the way to remember that is, if you're a reader, is to remember omega-3 fish oils and all of that, because if you think about omega-3 fish oils, then you'll always remember the beautiful depiction of Raphael telling you to drink your fish. And that's kind of funny, but that is in fact what we see with Raphael. So Raphael remains one of the main issues, standing in the fourth house, an issue of a health crisis over Donald Trump that appears to be happening in the next couple of weeks. Because it's a clarification over the presidency in the coming weeks. And we also know from these cards that that part of his mental health, part of his health problems have a mental aspect. Because if you look at it also from action reaction, if you look just action reaction, he has a Seven of Cups in his third house. So a Seven of Cups is to be in a state of confusion, to be to be howling at the moon. It's the person who doesn't know what the hell they're doing. A Seven of Cups is, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. And so there could be an indication here that this person has an increasing lapse in their mental health or mental capacities in the coming weeks. That would be how I would interpret these cards. Any questions, darlings, about all of that? Hi, Mila. You going to come up and say hi? So, yeah, I would not be surprised if we looked at, with these cards, if we looked at a potential medical emergency or medical problem that leads to some kind of a medical crash for Trump, possibly in the next couple of weeks. So those are the cards for Donald Trump and whether or not he will be inaugurated. It's looking like he's moving closer to the presidency because the outcome was Emperor, and that is the presidency card. However, immediately after that comes the Tower. So there again, I simply think this person is not healthy. He's just not healthy. Oh, Zelensky. Yes. Trump. Give the egomaniac what he wants. Yes. I think we should take the massive thing of Trump in diapers, and we should marionette in diapers, and we should send that to. Yeah. Liver can get into the blood. If you're talking about a liver, different types of cancers, you have leukemias, and then you also have myelomas. And we might see, because of inflammation, a decrease in iron absorption and an elevation of abnormal white blood cells and a lower hemoglobin, which can cause people to look pale and sallow. And so they might add more makeup. It's very common that you'll see that in cancer patients. Summerland Girl. Why is literally every reader getting the Tower? Almost every reader. You know what? I can never answer what other readers are up to. It's a strange question. Like, why are other readers? I don't know. I never met the person. I was like, anybody can open a YouTube channel and say that they're psychic and do readings. So my advice is to just go ask them because I don't know. But if there's a pattern, of a tower over Trump's presidency, and it looks like it happens fairly quickly, then it would be J.D. Vance. So let's go ahead and take a look at the cards for Vance and just see if Vance is going to be blessed as much as Trump was blessed, but then he doesn't. Then this Tower is coming for him like any day now, like in the next couple of weeks. It's like he had to help the Republicans win, and then he keels over or something, or this almost looked like it was a mental health breakdown. I don't want to. Four of Cups, leave me alone. I'm trapped. That's what those cards are saying. What happens to Melania when Trump is gone? She gets some peace and quiet finally. Leave me alone, Orange Man. She wants nothing to do with him. All right, J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance. What's going on with J.D. Vance? Thank you, Summerland, for that donation. Oh, interesting. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, JD Vance. Is JD Vance crazy or what's the story? I don't know much about. He's a Project 25 guy, right? Which surprises me because Silicon Valley is not pro-religion. He's depicted as a flim flam man. So it's about going out and entertaining people. So 2 of Pentacles. So he understands that it's a circus. JD Vance sees this job as being a circus barker. He has to go out and entertain people and, hey, make you feel great about yourself. 2 of Pentacles. So he's kind of like the flim flam man. Chariot, the race. He's still fighting the race and he's potentially still moving to the White House because he's got that chariot card there. Where he's at right now, Archangel Raphael right over him too could be having a health crisis as well. Too bad Congress isn't. If the Democrats had control of Congress, that would be a good thing. But so it looks like he has a health challenge coming up. That's interesting. There's his job. He will take the oath. He will become the VP. He will take the oath. What is above him? Ace of Wands. He believes that he will aggressively pursue his duty. Ace of Wands. He will aggressively pursue the office of the vice presidency. He's going in there with a kind of aggressive determination to fight for America, like to do this fight. And then what he sits in, he got his wish, but he feels like he's going to fight. He's going to fight for this thing. Ace of Wands is to fight. He's coming out of a sense of betrayal about those people who didn't support him, those people who spoke ill about him when he was running, people that spoke about knowing him in college. There's a feeling with the 10 of Swords in the 5th house that he may have been betrayed by people he thought were friends of his. People who spoke crap about, hey, I thought we were good. And Ace of Pentacles. Look at that, double aces. So he's going to be making money for himself and he's going to be making a ton of money for his friends. Triple aces. He gets his wish. He gets the offer. He gets the love. He gets all that in a bag of chips. He's also got the Ace of Cups here. His opposition is grieving. That's Harris's cards. See, I think if we had gone with Pete Buttigieg, we would have had an increased chance because Buttigieg was loved and Buttigieg was a name that was known and he was known in all 50 states. And I think we would have increased our odds with Buttigieg, but a lot of people say no. Hopes and fears, death, the change of his life, and then the sun. So I would say his cards are excellent. Vance, and it's very likely he will have everything he wants because first off, he pulled triple aces, which is quite auspicious. Ace of Wands, as I said, in the 4th house is an entrepreneur's card. It's a get up and go. I'm going to win. I'm going to take it. He's entering into the Ace of Pentacles. He's got the job. He's got the money. His crossing card, Page of Pentacles, is to receive a job or work. Or it's also Archangel Gabriel. His 7th house is Ace of Cups, which is the wedding cup. Again, it's auspicious. His adversary grieves, which would be the Democrats' hopes and fears, the transformation, and then the sun comes out. The clarification for him is a dancing celebration, 3 of Cups. They want to get to armistice, like they're now doing ceasefire with Hezbollah. I've cautioned that ceasefire, any kind of negotiations with Iran and Russia would be devastating, and because you'd only be arming your enemies. but it appears that they're going to get to armistice relatively soon. He will begin to have problems with Donald Trump as Donald Trump becomes his opposition in the coming weeks. The president is his opposition in the coming weeks, and I don't know why. He is going to have problems with Trump. The hopes and fears, the star, and then the final outcome, Archangel. There is a lot of truth over JD Vance. There is truth over JD Vance. First off, the sun, which is to receive an exposure, and then Archangel Michael, who's the sword of truth. It could be that some information or some truth or some expose could come out about JD Vance. But to be honest with you, his cards are not bad. One more clarification. I see him having problems with Trump, and it could be there's the tower again. It has something to do with the administration of the Trump team, and he's going to have some problems. Look, if they want to kick Trump out and give it to JD Vance, then of course Trump is going to hate him and immediately be suspicious of him because you're the guy that's trying to 26 me, right? The 25th? Is it the 26th where they haul you out of there? So if Trump thinks that JD Vance is trying to take him and haul him away, then that could be why there's this growing animosity. You see what I'm saying? Because I went ahead and I did a third, which is when I'm a little confused. But you can see this retraction starts to come in after the win, and then over Trump, 6 of wands, he's winning. But you have this kind of tower that starts to hit, and then 4 of Pentacles. So I think what could be happening is that Trump is aware of the fact that they could be trying to take the presidency away from him, and this could create tensions between him and Vance. He doesn't trust Vance, JD Vance. That's the bottom line. But I'm going to go ahead and predict, because the tower came up as an outcome twice today. You saw me shuffle, you saw me hand them out. So I'm going to go ahead and predict that in the next 2 to 3 weeks, a major expose or something is going to come out, and it's going to be extremely damning to JD Vance and to Trump. And there's also going to be rising tensions between Trump and Vance, because Trump is going to become increasingly paranoid that Vance wants his job and is going to take him out. Yeah. And so it goes back to what Summerland Girl is saying. Thank you, honey, for mentioning that. She said, what she says is, remember when Vance was a never trumpet? Will that philosophy of his come back? Sure, because he probably is still a never trumper. And so what this does is this just gives him the power to help get this guy out of there. 25th Amendment, particularly if you look at what the cards were like before for Trump. Because the cards before Trump were showing that he was having a health crisis. It was affecting his mental capacity, 7 of Cups, because you go action, reaction, well, as above, so below, right? So his higher self, Trump's higher self, was he was drawing the energy of Archangel Raphael. He needed a healing regarding what? 7 of Cups. I'm so confused. What is my challenge? Sobriety. That was interesting. His hope and his fear was temperance. My temper, my mood, and possibly issues of sobriety. Aren't these interesting cards tonight? I think they're very interesting. Thanks for the donations, everybody. They're appreciated. Okay, let's see what else we got. What do you think? Cool? Interesting? Any opinions about it? I don't know. See, I have faith in humanity. I do. Despite everything that's happened, I just think everything will balance itself out. I think that Trump got off. I don't think he will stay. I think that they just gave up fighting him. Fine. But you're not staying. This guy is too old and sick, and I don't see him staying. Not with that tower that keeps coming in the 10th house. Either he's going to leave, or he's going to have a major health collapse or something. I thought that was very interesting, though, very insightful, that he was going to start becoming paranoid and questioning Vance's loyalty. Yeah, the cards are wild, but they're also really pretty interesting. All right, let's see if we got any other questions here from people. Yeah, heavy makeup to hide his illnesses, jaundice or something else. No, he didn't look jaundiced. The parts that were not covered were not yellow; they were white, like his lips. They were, that was a white that you would see with anemia, and that's the kind of anemia you would see with some types of cancer. So that was where, because he doesn't have a uterus, he's not having endometriosis or heavy menstrual cycles that would cause it. It's unlikely that he has parasites, right? So usually when we see this type of somebody with this type of features, possibly anemia, then we think of things like either bleeding in the stool, which can happen with some types of colon cancer. That's true. Some type of trouble with absorption, like irritable bowel diseases, some types of colon cancers, but also we see it in some types of blood cancers. So would you like to see that? So if you're talking, let's just talk about AML. Adult patient will say, adult with AML. Let's see if I can get some images. You'll get a pale. It's the pale mask. It's almost like a white mask over the face, like what you saw with his lips. You'll get this kind of pale mask. And what people will try to do, particularly people in the entertainment industry, is that they will desperately try to cover up that pale mask. It's like a white face. And so in order to cover it up, they will use they may sometimes, same with leukemia, because something's wrong with your blood. And so when something's wrong with your blood, it starts to show up in the images. But that main one is you'll start to see that bone white, also around the lips. And that's what I saw in Trump. So that was why my head was, what are we looking at here? Are we looking at, has this guy got colon cancer? Does he got blood? But it looked almost like a blood cancer, which is where you'll get more of this kind of this kind of pale white, and sometimes light. And so, what happens again is that the cancer patient tries to cover it up by putting massive amounts of makeup on. And in fact, when I see that, or a wig also, if they've lost their hair, if they're under chemo treatment, is that, when I see that, I'm thinking, my mind always goes to cancer, usually some types of leukemia. Yeah. Trump not signing a transition agreement. I don't know what that question is about. I don't know what the agreement would be. Edibles are too strong. Think positive, miracles do happen. Well, I think that what we need to do as Democrats is accept that we lost the election. I was just doing a search, no evidence of widespread voter fraud, even though that one guy's convinced of it. And I think we just have to learn from this that the American people are really struggling financially because of inflation, and that they blamed Biden for it. And when 6 million people came in, they felt like they could barely afford their rent, and the media was able to have a field day and say, look, all your work is being given away by the Democrats and you're being left in poverty. The Democrats are giving all your stuff away, and people believed it. So Menyo says that she's going to finish remodeling her house and then she's going to move to the Netherlands because I love that country. Yes, that's actually fairly easy. It's one of the easier visas to get, is to work, live overseas in Amsterdam. They have a nice relationship with the United States. I too love Amsterdam, but not in the winter. It is freezing. Not ready to give up Biden. I totally get it, Summerland girl. You want a Hail Mary? I don't think it's going to happen, but sure. How many of you are determined to leave the United States, and how many of you accept the fact that you can't afford it and you're just going to hunker down and fight for your land? $220,000 in swing states. Wow. Well, I think that she did pretty well, and he did pretty well in a couple different states. Yeah. Vance is, an interesting person. It's interesting to see that even in the cards, Vance presents as someone who's going to betray Trump, or that Trump senses that he is somebody that cannot be trusted. And I think that's rather interesting. Well, he should be, because with his card chart looking the way it does, Donald Trump is becoming increasingly cognitive decline. They can try and cover it up, just send him to go play golf while they do the work. But if he becomes increasingly erratic, wanting to kill everybody who he's angry at, then at that point, they may have to do something drastic. But if they can cover it up and, we'll take care of it on Tuesday. I think that what they think is that they can control him, and maybe they can, in which case it's perfect. He's just going to run around saying outrageous things, and then they're going to push policy. Who knows? Sarah Schwella. Hi, Sarah. Does it look to you like the information you thought would be coming out about Trump and Vance might be Jack Smith's report? No, it didn't. It looked like some major event. It could be possibly a medical event or something, and it appears that it will be impacting Trump directly. And it's going to happen in about 2 to 3 weeks at this trajectory, unless something changes. It wasn't a Trump double. It was him and Elon watching a rocket launch. I think Elon Musk is being very smart. He's taking control of the party and turning it into his party. He paid for the party, so now he wants to turn it into his party. Makes sense. He wants to get what he paid for. All right, so we'll take a look at Harris, and if Harris knows anything, and if they have a future election that is going to be challenged. So we're now looking at the future of Harris. Is she going to run again? Is there hope that this thing is not going to happen? Let's take a look. We're now looking at Harris. What is going on? Is she going to be okay? We like our VP Harris. All right. Trump won. The victory goes with Trump. King of Swords, Six of Wands. So from her perspective, based on these cards, yeah, I don't know how Elon deals with the Heritage Foundation, because I can tell you he can't stand religion. I don't know how he's going to crawl around that. It drives him crazy. Well, that's not true. He likes Orthodox Judaism. It's a very private thing, but he's been thinking about converting, which is not public information. He has attended the Tish of Rabbi Mattis Friedman. Is that what his name is? Rabbi Friedman? Yeah, he's gone to his table a couple times. So it's a bunch of Hasidic men, and it's cool to have 12 kids and to be dancing around and having a bunch of kids. And so when Elon Musk went to Rabbi Friedman's Shabbat table, he said, "Oh my God, I've come home. This is my people." And Rabbi Friedman was saying, "Oh, you like what you see here, huh? Well, it's not you don't have to convert. You don't have to do the whole thing. Just take one mitzvah at a time." So, yeah, Elon's seriously thinking of converting. So you have this energy of Six of Wands, which is to go into, I think he was going to convert to any religion. It wouldn't be Christianity. It would be Orthodox Judaism, because as someone with Asperger's, he would like the fact that it's organized, and the fact that it's centered around papas having children and mamas having children and big families. And so and they're pro-Israel. And so, I think it would be a good match for him if he was shopping for a religion. I know he's also studied Tao and Buddhism. So, yeah, I think Judaism would be a very good match for him, because it would also stabilize him, I think, and get him off all that crazy behavior. But yeah, I don't see Harris contesting it with a Six of Wands falling with Trump. There she is, the Queen of Swords. That would be an air sign female. I assume she's a Libra, right? Her crossing challenge at this time: shenanigans, trickery, con artist, theft. These are the things that are affecting her right now. She is being blocked by theft, criminal activity, mafia going after her for previous crimes that she had convicted. There's this feeling of they're going after her because of what she did to them. The sun is coming out for her, and what she sits in is the Seven of Pentacles. There's a part of her that's kind of happy, because there's a part of her that wants to retire for a little bit from DC and go work on her garden and be with her family. And that's what she's going to do. Doesn't mean she's going to do it forever, but she's going to the garden. Seven of Pentacles, harvesting, and possibly doing research for a future bid in 2028. Did I lose my? No, I'm still there. A future bid in 2028 is probably possible, because Seven of Pentacles is to dig deep, possibly into, could be that she's looking into her future opportunities financially. But also the Ten of Cups is there, so this is more focused on, you don't want Elon to be. Well, I mean, if it makes him happy, maybe it'll help him be a better person, if he can learn some ethics. And I don't know, Rabbi Friedman's a pretty good rabbi. I think he would be guided well, I think that it already is his rabbi. He did not want to appear on camera, Elon Musk, when he was at the rabbi's Shabbat table, because the rabbi was giving a lecture on Shabbat, and they were filming. And then the rabbi was saying, well, this Elon Musk asked this question, Elon Musk asked that question. And he was talking to like 40 people at the table, because these are large Shabbat tables. and Elon had clearly asked him, well, say this, say this, say this in front of the camera. I aspire to be a Jew. How can I be Jewish? You're like, but you could hear Elon Musk off camera asking questions about the Torah, asking about this, and then the rabbi answering, but respecting him enough not to have the camera on him. So I thought it was an interesting thing to watch, because it just because the rabbi was laughing about Elon Musk and saying, "Oh, you really you like what you're seeing, don't you?" And of course, it was the Rebbitzin had like 10 kids, and the rabbi was holding 10 kids, and he's like, "I want this. I want the wife cooking the meal and the 10 kids." It's a very old-fashioned, almost an Amish perception of the world. And so I would imagine that if you're somebody who doesn't have that stability, you would long for it. You would long for somebody that could give you that structure, that stability. So I can see why he's attracted to it. No, it's over for her. She's going back to the courts and possibly back to the justice system. And it would be great if her boss could give her a job. She's going to the courts. Hey, put me in the appellate court or something, because she's going straight to the justices. So she could wind up in a court appointment in the future somewhere else. She's happy with her life. But she's going back to the justice system. More than likely political. Okay, well, I'm overheating. You can see this beautiful hot flash is starting to hit. I've got to do some packing and get ready to leave for tomorrow. Yeah, he's stacking the Supreme Court. It looks like we lost the Supreme Court for the next 10, 20 years, but that's okay, because the universe has a wonderful way of working everything out, because this is what we needed to have an amendment. So, there's a lot of feminists that feel like we kind of threw out our efforts to get the Equal Rights Amendment, and that maybe this is what needed to happen. Maybe this is what needed to happen for us to recognize the importance of the Equal Rights Amendment and a woman's right to choose being an amendment. And this is the only way we're going to be able to bypass the courts. And maybe that's what this is about, that we must never have our health and safety be at the mercy of the Supreme Court. It has to be the people protecting the people. And the only way you're going to do that is with amendments. And so, many of us are kind of looking at it kind of wistfully, as feminists, those of us who are Generation X or earlier, baby boomers, that this was something that should have happened and didn't happen. And because it didn't happen, that's why we had the loss of Roe v. Wade. Had we had a solid amendment that had these rights there, then the Supreme Court couldn't have touched us. We would have been a lot safer. And so maybe that's the takeaway from this experience. Does that make sense? Does that kind of help comfort people that we need to be focusing more on amendments so that we never again have to be vulnerable to the Supreme Court? Do you get that? So in a way, it was good, because it's going to get us motivated to do what we need to do, which is to get an amendment. Yeah. All right, my loves. You guys are awesome. Always. Always. You see? Because the goddess, Hashem, God, in the infinite wisdom, wanted this to be all 50 states. And you get there with an amendment. And so that no man or woman in a Supreme Court, we will never be at the mercy of that, which we were with Roe v. Wade being overturned. That will never and can never happen, because we're going to get an amendment. And that needs to be the new fire in us as Democrats, right? There you go. All right. I want to thank you all for hanging with me. And I realize I can't afford to leave the United States, but I can afford to go to a third world country for a month or two a year. Now, that's more my budget. So I think that I'm going to be budgeting for mini escapes to places like Panama and Colombia and places. Well, you can get like 2 weeks in Colombia with airfare off season for like, $900. Then, save the money to like escape for a month and like hunker down and rent a room in like some remote but safe village in the third world. Like that's what I can afford right now. So that's what it's going to have to be while I psychologically cope with who's in the White House. All right. If you're trying to get in for a reading with me, I will be back in the office on Monday. I'm taking the whole week. Honey, I need it. I've been fried mentally from this whole thing. I took a week off, but I will be back on Monday, and I would love to give you a reading. If you'd like to book a reading with me, you can do it through Booksy. It's real simple. The information's below. You just click on, fill out the information, pick the time you want to see me, and then I call you at the appointed time. I am in Portland, Oregon, so it would be Pacific Standard Time. So if you're on the East Coast, you have to add 3 hours. No, remove 3. Add 3 hours. That's right. Yeah. If you're overseas, then we have to talk to each other on WhatsApp. That's the other thing. All right. I think that's all my announcements. All right. Be kind to all so that all will be kind to you too. God bless. Peace out, and we will see you next time. Bye, everyone. Take care. Thank you. Thank you for hanging out with me. I appreciate you. Thank you.